Hey everyone, welcome back to Topless Channel. Today, we're diving deep into what you need to know about the game Black Myth Wukong. This game first caught our attention on August 20th, 2020, and ever since, gamers have been buzzing with curiosity about what kind of adventure it will deliver, especially since it's based on the legendary tale of Sun Wukong. Before we get into it, just a quick disclaimer, I know this content is a bit late to the party. A lot of reviews are already out there, and some points I'll mention are heavily inspired by them. But I'll also share predictions and insights that others haven't touched on yet. First things first, what's the story behind Black Myth Wukong? To give you some background, Sun Wukong is the main character in a classic Chinese novel called Journey to the West, or Ziyiji in Chinese. This piece of literature is a big deal in China, telling the tale of a monk named Tang Sanzang who travels westward to India in search of sacred Buddhist scriptures. He's accompanied by 4 disciples with supernatural powers, including a pig demon named Zhu Beiji, a sand demon named Sha Wujing, a dragon who turns into a horse named Bai Longma, and of course, the mischievous monkey king, Sun Wukong. The game, however, isn't a direct retelling of the story. Based on trailers, it seems like the game is more loosely inspired by the Sun Wukong legend, similar to how Dragon Ball draws inspiration from it. In fact, in the game's narrative, the monk has already passed away on his journey, leaving a different Wukong, not necessarily the Sun Wukong we know, to take up the mantle. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. According to reviews, especially from IGN, Black Myth Wukong draws from the Sun Wukong legend, but doesn't stick too rigidly to it. Expect around 40 hours of gameplay spread across 6 major chapters. Each chapter involves finding a relic, so there's plenty to do, though whether that time is due to challenging gameplay or sheer content, we'll have to wait and see. Interestingly, the game isn't a Souls-like, despite what the early footage might suggest. Yes, it's challenging, but it doesn't follow the typical Souls-like formula where you lose XP or souls upon death. Instead, you get to keep all your progress even if you die, making the game a bit more forgiving. This could make it more accessible to players who find the traditional Souls-like games too punishing. Let's move on to exploration. This game is definitely not an open-world experience. Instead, it's more linear, with different chapters or stages featuring distinct areas. Think of it as being more stage-based, similar to the Devil May Cry series, rather than a seamless world like Sekiro. The game's trailers have shown off plenty of mini-bosses and full-blown bosses, so if you're into challenging fights, you're in for a treat. One of the most iconic aspects of Sun Wukong's story is his weapon, the Rui Jingu Bang, a magical staff that can change size at will. In the game, this staff is not just for show, it's your bread and butter in combat. The mechanics seem focused on building up your combo meter with basic attacks, and then unleashing special moves or heavy attacks when the meter is full. The staff will have various movesets, from smashing attacks to thrusts, giving you plenty of options in combat. Interestingly, the game doesn't seem to focus on a parry mechanic, which is common in other action games like Sekiro. Instead, it leans into Wukong's monkey-like agility, making dodging and quick movement more integral to the combat experience. Now, let's talk about abilities and transformations. Wukong, much like his literary counterpart, can transform into various creatures. The trailers have shown off several of these transformations, each with its own unique moveset. This adds a lot of depth to the gameplay, as you'll need to strategically choose which form to take on based on the situation. For example, one transformation lets you turn into a beetle, which could be useful for sneaking past enemies. However, it looks like you'll only be able to equip 4 transformations at a time, which might limit your creativity in how you tackle different challenges. Finally, let's touch on progression and upgrades. With all the mechanics at play, different weapons, spells, transformations, you'll have plenty of ways to level up and improve your abilities. Whether it's upgrading your staff, enhancing your spells, or unlocking new transformations, there's a lot of depth here. And since you don't lose XP when you die, you can take your time grinding and improving your character without worrying about setbacks. In conclusion, Black Myth Wukong is shaping up to be a fascinating blend of action and storytelling, drawing from rich Chinese mythology while offering modern gameplay mechanics. Keep an eye out for its release on August 20th, 2024. It's definitely one to watch.